think they've been successful with public cloud computing for so long, and I'm glad for their good luck. But it's just a matter of time where they're going to experience, some sort of a downturn. It even could be something that they cause, but you have to figure out how you're going to mitigate through these risks, how you're going to resolve them, how you're going to have business continuity, disaster recovery, all these sorts of things. There has to be contingent plans for when these things fail, because they're going to fail, believe me. So we also have the regulatory and compliance risks out there, and they're ignored at your peril. Industries like finance and healthcare face immense legal and compliance consequences if third-party failures leads to breaches or disruptions. And I hear this from my clients in those spaces all the time. They're not concerned as much about them being offline for a certain amount of time. They're worried about the compliance problems that they're going to have. And certainly if you have companies that reside in Europe, there are tons of different rules, laws, and regulations you have to comply with that are not necessarily going to be very outage friendly. So you need to consider that. Public cloud dependency without adequate risk management, could cost far more than simple downtime. Fines and penalties, ultimately can cripple your business, in some cases taking your business completely out. If you're a healthcare company and due to an outage, perhaps PII information is exposed, something like that, the press picks up on it, you're toast. It's going to be very difficult to recover from that reputational damage because people value their privacy, and certainly over in Europe, more so than the United States, but it's a systemic need that you need to build into your systems. You need to protect it, and you need to have first tier, second tier, third tier contingency plans when these things do occur. And right now, I think most people don't have contingency plans. They just hope it doesn't happen. So the final lesson, resiliency can't be outsourced. Public cloud providers focused on their platforms, but business continuity is ultimately your responsibility. It's the shared responsibility model here. Again, people have a tendency to be far too complacent if they're leveraging a public cloud provider, putting the onus on them to manage the resiliency for them on their behalf. You can't do that. You're accepting too much risk if that's the way you're treating your public cloud providers. Now, companies that fail to develop robust risk management and failover strategies are leaving themselves exposed to the inevitable failures of third-party providers. Again, it's not that if it's going to happen to you, it's when. And certainly everybody has moved into these multi-cloud, hybrid models where they're leveraging, 3 to 6 different public cloud providers. They may be leveraging some of the hyperscalers out there with some of the regional providers and sovereign providers and things like that. The more you have providers that are in your mix, and this is a downside of multi-cloud,